Welcome to Mr. Chalk's revision tips. In this video we will look at antibiotic action, means of resistance and developing resistance. Antibiotic resistant is where a bacteria has developed some sort of way in order to go and withstand the effects of an antibiotic. It can do this either by stopping the antibiotic from reaching it or by modifications that will go and break down the antibiotic before it has time to work. Before we go and look at antibiotic resistance, I just want to go and have a quick look at how antibiotics actually work. Antibiotics like penicillin damage the cell walls of bacteria. Human cells don't have a cell wall, hence these antibiotics don't affect us. These antibiotics cause pores in the cell walls, which leads to osmosis due to excess influx of water moving into the cells, which cause them to burst. Some antibiotics will attack the ribosomes and inhibit the growth of the bacterial cell. If they go and inhibit protein synthesis, then all the stuff that the bacteria needs to go and replicate can't be produced. Some antibiotics attack the DNA or DNA related enzymes of bacteria. If the bacteria can't replicate its DNA or can't access its DNA, that will cause the bacteria to stop functioning and die. So, when we go and look at antibiotic resistance, there are a number of things that bacteria can evolve to go and deal with antibiotics. So the first one is that bacteria can produce pumps that sit in their membranes and will physically go and pump the antibiotic back out of them. This so-called efflux pumps are very common in bacteria. Some of these pumps can also transport antibiotics out from the bacteria and lower the concentration within the bacterial cell to the point where the antibiotic has no effect. The bacteria can decrease the permeability of their membranes to the surroundings. When they do this, certain changes in the bacterial membrane make it more difficult for the antibiotics to physically pass through. If the antibiotics can't pass through these membranes, then they can't get into the bacteria, so will have no effect. Some bacteria can destroy the antibiotic. So there are bacterial enzymes that can inactivate antibiotics. So one example is beta-lactamase that destroys the active component of penicillins, which is extremely important for treating bacterial infections. Some bacteria can have enzymes that modify the antibiotic, therefore deactivating it. So, antibiotic resistance occurs when bacterial change in response to the use of these medicines occurs over a period of time. Bacteria, not humans or animals, become antibiotic resistant. So it's not the humans that are becoming resistant or less affected by the antibiotics, it is the bacteria. These bacteria may infect humans and animals, and the infections they cause are harder to treat because they can no longer be treated by the same antibiotics. So, the way that this occurs, so before bacteria are exposed to antibiotics, some of them naturally may be resistant to it. So there is variation within the population, like all living things, caused by mutation. So after the antibiotic or a course of antibiotics, the resistant bacteria survives. Because they've survived, there is no competition for resources, so they can reproduce. So the offspring of this original bacteria all have the same alleles, so all have the same genetic material, so are all resistant to the antibiotic. So there's now a selection pressure in favour of antibiotic resistance. So antibiotic resistance occurs over many generations. So over many generations, antibiotic resistant bacteria become more common in the population. This is especially important when you look at populations within hospitals or areas where there is a high use of antibiotics. Thanks for